Hey, drop. Yeah, hey, drop.
All right, welcome. It's your man DJ Josh back with another episode of the Audible Daily Sports Breakdown from yours truly, your favorite DJ. Give shouts out to those who have made themselves known, and welcome to the show. How you doing, Gator Girl, Miss Murph? Gator Girl, you starting off the show with some breaking news. Jalen Hurts' agent has just tweeted she has signed the #1 pick in the NFL draft. We will be focusing on the NFL draft primarily this episode. It will be a little bit longer than normal. We will get into some NBA news a little bit later on, but I really want to focus on the draft. Draft starts tomorrow night. First round, tomorrow, starting at 8 p.m., if I'm not mistaken, Eastern Standard Time. They only do the first round, then rounds 2 and 3 will be on Friday. Then on Saturday, you got rounds 4 through 7, or what they like to call them day 3 picks. But we're going to focus on the first round. We're going to go team by team, look at some of the needs, some of the draft capital, and who will they possibly be taking. How you doing, Miss VS? My tried and true, all up in here. So, where I want to start at. All right, we're gonna break down the draft. Like I said, we're gonna break it down. I don't know if I'll be live tomorrow. I'm just let you know. Have been invited to a draft party. Don't know if I'm going or not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really get that excited to watch the entire draft. I'm just, waiting till my team gets, picked and that kind of stuff. But hey, I got a report on it. But yeah, I don't know if I'll be live tomorrow. So I'll be tuned. And those that know, I will be doing a show Friday, and I have something special lined up also on Friday on my other channel. I think you guys will like this. But we're going to get started out. #1 pick in the draft belongs to the Carolina Panthers, who traded up to get the #1 pick. We all know they're going for quarterback, but who is the quarterback to go #1? I believe CJ Stroud and Bryce Young are clearly the top 2 quarterbacks in this coming draft. They each have their pluses, but they each have their minuses. I think the biggest minus you see with Bryce Young, no one doubts his talent. No one doubts his decision-making. Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. Roll Tide. Roll goddamn Tide. Report from the party. Oh, killing it. Nah, you ain't gonna get me like that, Ms. VS. But yeah, have been invited, so I don't know if I'm going, but we'll see. LeMickey's playing right now. Yeah, I know the games have started. I know when I last checked before I came on, Lakers were down first half to the Grizzlies and looked like the Knicks, they were up 10 at half. But I will be getting to the NBA because there's some other off the court news that kind of happened in the NBA. We will be discussing that. But as far as the draft, first pick, who do they take? Who do they take? Okay, my decision. I'm going with CJ Stroud. I think he fits the Frank Wright mold, and it's not that big of a talent gap when you're talking about Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud improved his draft stock with the bowl game against Georgia this past year. I think he fits the most 6'3", got a little size on him, can actually move his feet, so he's not a statue in the pocket. Now, I know Ohio State quarterbacks haven't come out and like lit up the league, but I really think when you break it down, now I don't think You can lose with a Bryce Young. I don't really think you can lose with a CJ Stroud. They're like 1A, 1B for me. The gap, like I said, the gap in talent is not that big. It's not that big of a difference. But I do think the Carolina Panthers are going to go with CJ Stroud at number one. Not that I'm mad. You do need a quarterback. I think with the NFC being potentially down this year, I think you're in a position to where you can really, push for a playoff. I mean, they do have a playoff caliber team when we're talking about the NFC, as far as like the talent that they have on the offensive end and the defensive end. If they good enough with the running game, they did sign Miles Sanders in the offseason. So I do think, Carolina, get a quarterback in there. Don't put too much pressure on him. You do have a defense that can go out there and win you some games. They almost had a chance to make the playoffs with Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, the quarterback last year. So if I'm Carolina and knowing Frank Wright and the mode of quarterback he's trying to get, and you want a guy that's going to be able to survive most of the season, I'm going with CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud is to be a good pick for Carolina. Now, they don't have a lot of picks in this coming draft. They only have a total of 6 picks. They do have needs at some of the skill positions, mainly being wide receiver. May want to draft a running back, may want to draft an off-ball linebacker. But I think the defense is good enough to kind of carry them to some wins. And like I said, it's a down division. It is a down division. I think Tampa Bay comes back to the pack. I'm not sure what I'm getting out of Atlanta. I do they have Desmond Ridder at quarterback, but they do have Tyler Heineke at backup. So how long do they stay with Ridder before they go to Heineke? And will it be too late? I don't think Atlanta's that good defensively. Now, New Orleans is very good defensively. Offense is questionable. Like I said, so Carolina has an opportunity to steal the division, and you get the division, you get into the playoffs. So for my guess is pick one is going to be CJ Stroud. Now that puts Houston into a very peculiar position, because you do know they need a quarterback. Davis Mills is not the answer at quarterback for them long term. Now, he's a serviceable quarterback, but serviceable doesn't win you games in this league. Houston has a lot of holes, man. A lot of holes, not just at quarterback. We're talking about on the defensive side of the ball, linebacker, D-line. I think they can use maybe some safety help a little later on in the draft. Need some talented wide receiver after trading Brandon Cooks to the Dallas Cowboys. Go Boys. But I think, and you've been hearing reports, news has been leaking out that new head coach DeMeco Ryans, the defensive guy coming over from the 49ers, is pushing for a defensive player. Now, I believe the top defensive player as far as production and potential is Will Anderson out of Alabama. Roll Tide. Roll goddamn Tide. Okay, where was I at? Yeah, Roll Tide. I think Will Anderson is the top defensive player in this draft. But if I'm Houston, Carolina has taken CJ Stroud. I don't see any other teams trading up with them to get a Bryce Young, and I think it's a smoke screen coming out of Houston thinking they're going to take a defensive player at number 2. Now, I do think they will prefer their quarterback of choice, but hey, when you're number 2, you just got to take what you can get. Carolina made the bold move, trading up to number 1, say, hey, we're going to get the guy that we really, really want. We're not going to settle for a guy. So, pick number 2, quarterback out of Alabama, Roll Tide, Bryce Young. Now, this is where the draft kind of gets tricky, especially in the top 5. Arizona is sitting at number 3. Arizona does not need a quarterback. They do have Kyler Murray, have him signed to a long-term contract. I'm not sure he's the long-term answer, but they do have him signed to a long-term contract. So where does that leave Arizona? It leaves Arizona in prime position to trade down, accumulate more picks, and really build up that roster. They have a lot of holes on that team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think you need to get a little bit younger wide receiver, get some offensive line help. You need help at a lot of positions in Arizona. I don't think quarterback is on the menu, but like I said, it leaves Arizona in a good position to trade down, but also leaves them in a position of teams decide, we're not trading up once Bryce Young and CJ Stroud have been off the board. How high are teams on the number 3 and 4 quarterback, respectively, as far as the rankings go, Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. How big are teams on trading up to potentially number 3 to get their quarterback? I think Arizona's going to end up in a position to where they have to kind of suck it up and take the best player that's available at the position. Now, it's been reported that Will Anderson is looked at as being the pick for them. It's also been talk of Jalen Carter, Georgia Bulldog, possibly being drafted at that position. I'm not sure. If Arizona ends up stuck at 3, I think you go defensive line. I think you either go. I'm probably going Will Anderson, probably the safest pick, probably the most productive pick. Jalen Carter didn't do himself a lot of favors with his pre-draft stuff going on. As far as the legal case he has going on, as far as his pro day was horrible performance, showed him to be out of shape, and that is a very alarming sign for teams that are drafting, especially when you're talking about drafting that high for a player. You want to see a guy, especially when we're talking about combines and talking about pro days, you want to see guys who have tried to improve, have been working since the season has ended, since the college football season has ended, have worked on trying to improve stuff in their game, depending on whatever the skill of the position is. But for Jalen Carter to have such a bad pro day and with the off-field stuff, like how locked in is this guy to playing football? Now, we know how talented he is when he is locked in and focused. I think he was the best defensive player on the national championship team from last year, and they had a lot of guys get drafted in the first round, but I think talent-wise, he was the best player on that defense. But I don't know. Do you take him at number 3? Do you take him at number 3? I think I said Will Anderson is probably the safest pick. If Arizona is not able to trade down, some of the potential trade down partners for Arizona, maybe the Vegas Raiders. I don't think the Colts are going to move up 1 pick. They'll just have to kind of take who they can get at that position. It's also talk of other teams kind of trading up possibly to that number 3 pick, but I think Arizona's going to end up being stuck with the number 3 pick, which is not a bad thing. I think Will Anderson is a high floor, high ceiling player. As dominant as a college football player have you seen over the past couple seasons. So Will Anderson as a consolation prize for being at 3 is not a bad pick. So I got Will Anderson going to the Arizona Cardinals at number 3. All right, as we kind of keep breaking down the draft, number 4 is where it kind of gets tricky. Also, like I said, it's top 5. Once you get past the first 2, it's anybody's guess. Now, we know the Indianapolis Colts are definitely, if they're not going to do anything, because I don't think they're taking anybody but a quarterback. Question becomes, who do you see as being the right fit for quarterback? Now, does Indianapolis has 2 choices to make? Do you take the more pro-ready? Now, both rookies, but you take the more pro-ready Will Levis out of Kentucky, who is a very talented quarterback, but do you take a risk on taking Anthony Richardson at number 4? I think with the kind of offense that the new head coach, Shane Steichen runs, the kind of offense he ran when he was in Philadelphia, where it kind of blossomed and gave us Jalen Hurts on another level. If he's having his pick of quarterback, it's been reported he's leaning towards Anthony Richardson. I know the organization is looking at Will Levis a little bit more. Not to say that Will Levis is not, like I said, a talented quarterback, but when you talk about the physical gifts, if we're just talking about quarterback and the raw physical gifts, no one in this draft compares physically to Anthony Richardson. Problem with Anthony Richardson is we don't have much game tape. Only 1 year starting at Florida. I like Anthony Richardson. If I'm the Colts and I got this head coach that is, shown to have success with a quarterback of this style that is able to run, also pass the ball, but he is so physically gifted. He's what does he call himself? Like the next Cam Newton. If I'm Indianapolis, I'm taking Anthony Richardson. But I don't know the way the reports are coming out of Indianapolis. Will Levis is looking like the likely pick. But if I'm going to be serviceable to my my new head coach and I want to get him the guy he wants, Anthony Richardson fits his system perfectly. I think you have an Anthony Richardson in there. You had the read option is available. I think he can really blossom, giving him more playing time. Like I said, he only has 1 year of starter experience. It wasn't mind blowing. What's good to Friday? Indiana better do the right thing. Hey, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like I said, the reports are coming out. Will Levis is management's pick. I know Steichen, with his offense is set up, I know he would love to have a chance to work with Anthony Richardson. I think you can coach up Anthony Richardson as far as like getting him getting his accuracy up. I think he was 55% last year at Florida. And you think 55 is not bad, but when we're talking about the NFL, I mean 60 is the baseline of accuracy. If you can't do nothing else in the NFL, you need to be accurate. Yes, them boys will be up on the screen for the majority of the show, Friday. They will be up on the screen for the majority of the show. And let me do this, since I have more than my usual for anybody that wants to come up. This, like I said, this show is going to be a little bit long tonight because I want to kind of really break down the draft, and I'm also going to get into the NBA news. The how they're scheduled, NBA schedule, man. Jump off a building. But hey, if I'm the Colts, I'm taking Richardson, but knowing them, they're probably going to take Will Levis at number 4. I think they have pieces together. Have Jonathan Taylor back there at running back. It's also possible they could be looking for some offensive line help a little bit later in the draft. And probably some, defensive backfield. I think they're kind of set with their front 7 on the defensive side. Not a bad team. And when you consider their division, the AFC South, I think Tennessee takes a step back. I think Jacksonville is what Jacksonville is, and Houston is Houston. So I think if the Colts can get competent quarterback play, I think Jonathan Taylor is able to keep that offense moving. The defense is solid enough to where they can win you some ball games. Colts may have a chance to make it to the playoffs, but hey, we'll see once training camp kind of starts, what rosters kind of looking like and whatnot. So we moving down to number 5, Seattle Seahawks, probably in a catbird seat for a lot of reasons. Got the multiple first round picks thanks to the Russell Wilson fleece. I'm not going to even call it a trade. It was a fleece. They knew something that nobody else knew. Broncos got hoodwinked, bamboozled, gave up the first round picks. Seattle has 2 first round picks, number 5 and number 20. Number 5 and number 20. I think Seattle is going to be looking at taking the best defensive line player. They had a lot of trouble last year as far as defending the run, getting constant pressure on the quarterback. I don't think they need, a quarterback. Now they're in a prime position if a Levis falls or Anthony Richardson could possibly be sitting there at number 5 for them to take. It's no pressure on the rookie quarterback to start. You just signed Geno Smith to a long-term extension. Geno is viewed as, he had a great season last year, but Geno is viewed as more of a bridge type quarterback. So if Anthony Richardson is sitting there, and I have another first round pick, I have another pick at 20. I think you can find some good defensive linemen down the board. Now, you're not going to find the cream of the crop. You're not going to find the Jalen Carter sitting down there at number 20. But I think defensive line is real deep in this draft. Probably one of the deepest positions. Between that, I would probably say that and quarterback are kind of deep when you kind of look at it. The guys you can get on day 2 and day 3 of the draft. But Seattle is, I think Jalen Carter is kind of just sitting there for them to take. I got Jalen Carter falling to Seattle. Pete Carroll has success dealing with guys who kind of have off the field issues. I think he'll come in motivated. I think Pete Carroll is the right kind of coach to keep him motivated, keep him locked in to what they got going on. And that is my pick, number 5, going to the Seattle Seahawks. Jalen Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia. Now, as we move along in the draft, excuse me, y'all, got a lot of screens up here. Because I'm trying to kind of keep tabs on the game. Where we at? We're at the number 6 pick. Detroit Lions. It was my dark horse pick last year. Started rough, but kind of turned it on late in the season, almost made it into the playoffs, made it down to the last week of the season. I think this division is up for the taking. I think it's two dog race between them and Minnesota, and I think Detroit is the better team overall when you look at their rosters. Now, Detroit is do they really need a quarterback? I mean, Jared Goff played well last year. Jared Goff is still relatively young. Do you stick with Goff, or do you take this opportunity because you do have 2 first-round picks, number 6 and number 18? Do you take a shot on taking a quarterback? Now, is there a quarterback that you like? Now, if we're kind of keeping up with the mode here of my mock draft, Anthony Richardson is still sitting out there at quarterback. It's also been talk of teams looking at Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker as being a possible first-round selection, coming off the injury, of course. But the teams are looking at him as being a possible first-round quarterback, probably on the back end of the first round. Maybe a team trades up, want to take him in the first round. I like Hendon Hooker. You dragging it out to the 9:30. We know. No. No, Ms. VS, I'm not dragging out the 9:30. What's going on, Spot? Yeah. I've been working the fraud, and I say, hey, I'm going corporate over here. Kind of keep it nice and tidy. Hooker's a sleeper. Yeah, I agree, Gator Girl. Hendon Hooker, before he got hurt, I mean, he was in the talk for the Heisman Trophy conversation. Tennessee was looking like a world-beating team, was one of the top teams in the country. He goes down, their title hopes go down with him. But I like Hooker. Now, will he be healthy? Now, if you're going to take him, I don't think Detroit's going to take him this high. But it's a possibility they could be, we be looking at him. Possibly with the first round pick that they have, if he's still on the board, why not take a chance on a Hendon Hooker? He's young, he's athletic. He can sit behind. He can sit behind Jared Goff for about a year, then kind of see what you have. I like his skill set. I like deep balls. Too bad he got hurt. A lot of teams, you just got to watch the game tape on him. But I think Detroit is probably leaning towards either cornerback or probably defensive line. Now, top cornerback, you can make a debate for Witherspoon, or you can make a debate for Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. But I think Detroit is in line to take a defensive lineman, team the guy they bring in on the defensive line, team him with last year's first-round pick, Aiden Hutchinson. I'm thinking, a lot of talk of Tyree Wilson, defensive end out of Texas Tech. He could possibly go before Will Anderson. He's that talented. He's that raw. Needs some work. Needs some work as far as like his hand placement and stuff. But he's a very talented defensive lineman. I think Detroit is looking at defense now. It's been reported, cornerback is their top choice. But if Tyree Wilson is there, or maybe a Will Anderson is there, do they take a chance on them? I'm thinking they're going to go defensive line, improve that pass rush, get after it, look for some secondary help with the number 20 pick. They do have, let me see how many picks they have coming up for this draft. Give me a second. Look at some of this stuff I got to close out. All right, close that. I can't keep watching the game. I can't keep watching it. My boy, Lake Show gonna do what the Lake Show do. Detroit does have 9 picks in this draft. I think they go defensive line. I think Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech is the pick. Now we go on to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now the Raiders may have been looking at quarterback prior to this draft. They did sign Jimmy Garoppolo in the offseason. So quarterback is not a pressing need. You do have Garoppolo hooking back up with former offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels out there in Vegas. I'm looking probably defense. Defense is probably the biggest need for the Raiders. But if a quarterback is there, this is kind of like where we're talking about that tricky spot at number 3. If a quarterback is there, do you take them? I mean, they do have a lot of draft capital. They only have 1 first-round pick. They do have 12 picks altogether through all 7 rounds. Do you package up a deal? Maybe move up. It's been talking of them possibly moving up with the Arizona Cardinals. If they still sit there, I think cornerback is probably the most pressing need, especially when you consider you're playing in the AFC West, you're playing against the Mahomes, you're playing against Justin Herbert, you're playing, I mean, it's playing in the AFC period with the best quarterbacks, best young quarterbacks in the league, and they just added Brett Favre to the Jets. I think you have to go secondary help. I think you got to go secondary help with this pick. Now, who do you go with? Who do you go with? Like I said, Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. Probably, 1A, 1B when it comes to cornerbacks. You have Devin Witherspoon, cornerback out of Illinois. I know a lot of teams are real high on him, mainly because, his ability to play man and his willingness to get in there for run support. I don't think you can lose if you go with either one of these guys. They each offer a little bit something different. I think physically, Gonzalez is a more gifted cornerback, but I like the mentality and the way Witherspoon plays. If you missed out on him playing in Big Ten, yeah, you missed out on a real good cornerback, but he likes to play inside, likes to play outside. So you mean you can put him at slot. That means he can really follow a receiver if need be. I think Gonzalez is more of a outside type guy. I don't think he, as comfortable in the slot, but I mean, he has the skill set to play in the slot. But I think Witherspoon, if knowing how Dan Campbell is, if Dan Campbell gets his pick between Witherspoon and Gonzalez, I'm thinking he's going Witherspoon, cornerback out of Illinois, has that attitude that he likes, and he's got a crew there. He's got a crew there, a bunch of dogs there in Detroit that he's building up. So Witherspoon is my pick for the Detroit Lions. All right, where we at? As we move forward in the draft, Atlanta Falcons, rise up, rise up. Atlanta is kind of a tricky team to they have holes. I mean, you have holes, especially on the defensive line. You have holes at linebacker. I think they're set at corner. Maybe need a safety, but I'm not taking a safety at the number 8 pick. What do you have at quarterback? Do you believe Desmond Ridder is going to lead you to long-term success? Or is he more of a bridge guy? I think this is kind of like, for me, I think it'd be a make or break year for Desmond Ridder. And that's a lot of pressure to put on a quarterback, meaning that his second year, first year, it's going to be starting. But they brought in Heinicke for a reason. I don't think the leash that Ridder's going to have is going to be long. If they start, losing games, we're talking about like 2-5, 2-6. I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons pull the plug on them, Sandman his ass, and put Heinicke in there. Heinicke has shown he can win in this league. He's not a spectacular quarterback, but he's a serviceable quarterback. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but he's not Pat Mahomes. But hey, how many are? So I mean, Atlanta's sitting there, number 8. There's a possibility. It's been talking to them possibly trading down. Possibly trading down now. I know it's been reported and kind of mock draft out in a lot of places that they have them taking a cornerback. I think they're fine at cornerback. If I'm in Atlanta, I'm probably taking more of a offensive lineman. Probably look at offensive lineman if that's my pick. But hey, this is the Falcons we're talking about. I'm not sure who they would take. If I'm taking offensive lineman, probably the top tackle in this draft is Northwestern offensive tackle Peter Skoronski. He's sitting there. I know it's not a sexy pick at number 8. I don't think you take a wide receiver that early. I don't think none of the wide receivers are really that good. Not to say there's not talent there, but I don't think they're that good to go top 10. So if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I'm looking at offensive line help. Hey, give my guys some protection. It'll help improve the run game. If you're able to move the ball, and I think they're trying to go for more of a Lamar Jackson type offense that they're running there. Yeah, I would probably do. Let me close this out too. I would probably go Peter Skoronski, offensive tackle out of Northwestern. Oh man, the water tastes good. All right, so as we move along in the draft, number 9, and Chicago Bears. Oh God, I will say this: I don't think Chicago is in the market for a quarterback. I like what they did with Justin Fields late in the season. Took them long enough to kind of figure out how to use him, get him out of the pocket, get him on some read options, get him on some bootlegs, let him use his legs. Don't try to confine him to the pocket just yet. I mean, he's a young enough quarterback, but he'll learn that. But Chicago has a lot of holes. They were able to make some moves. They do have 10 picks coming up in this draft. Offensive line is gotta be priority one. Gotta be priority. I mean, Justin Fields took a beating last year. What's going on, TC? Justin Fields took a beating last year. I mean, an absolute beating. I mean, jeez. I mean, I feel bad for him, and I'm not a Bears fan, but offensive line has got to be the pick here for the Chicago Bears in the first round. Now I know Skoronski, I mocked him off the board. Next best offensive tackle is not that far behind. Paris Johnson out of Ohio State, very good offensive tackle. Showed a lot of skill sets and a lot of good stuff at Ohio State. Now it's a possibility he could swing inside. He can also, he's skilled and nimble enough where he can play guard. Not that that's a sexy pick, and if you're drafting him to play guard, but I think you need to, above all else in Chicago at this point, you got a couple weapons on the outside, nothing too spectacular, but you got to protect Justin Fields. Justin Fields has got to stay upright, and they got to kind of continue with the mode what they were going with last year. I know they played my boys. I wasn't too excited to see what he was doing. Hey, let that young man get out the quarterback, bootleg, read option, design quarterback runs. Hey, but you got to keep him upright. All that running around and athleticism don't mean anything when you don't have time to really drop back, survey the field, and make a business decision. So, offensive tackle is going to be glad the Bears made it. I'm doing a whole first round of fraud. I'm doing a whole first round. I'm giving all the teams the love. Now, Paris Johnson is my pick going to Chicago Bears. Now we move to my arch nemesis, Philadelphia Eagles, coming off the Super Bowl loss. Just paid Jalen Hurts a lot of money. Do have 2 first round picks. They only have 6 picks in this draft. Do have 2 first round picks. I know last draft, Philadelphia made a big splash, bringing in wide receiver AJ Brown from Tennessee. Does Philadelphia continue with the mode of we're going all in and possibly, trade number 10 for another high caliber player? Now, I know some of the mock drafts have them taking running back. One thing about the running back position, not like the number 1 running back prospect, Bijan Robinson. One thing about running back in this league, it's not as valued a position as it used to be. A lot of teams are running back by committee. A lot of teams, want a guy not necessarily that's going to pound the ball 25 times, but want a guy that's going to be able to kind of get out and give him 25 catches in the pass game. You got to be good at pass blocking. Give us enough to have a competent running game. So running game is really not the focus. Now I wouldn't be surprised if Philadelphia takes Bijan Robinson. I think he's the only running back. Well, maybe Phillips out of Alabama who could sneak into the first round, but I think Robinson is probably the most talented, one of the most talented players, period. If you haven't watched him, you've missed out. But I think Detroit kind of stocks up on the defense, probably adds another edge rusher in this coming draft. I just don't see him taking running back. But it's possible they could go wide receiver. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But if I Philadelphia number 10, you have 2 first round picks. Why not swing for the fences? I got them taking Bijan Robinson, running back, at number 10. All right, now come on, soundboard. All right, number 3. Let's see here. Tennessee Titans only have 6 picks. I'm not sure what direction Tennessee is going. It's been reported that Tannehill is possibly being shopped around. Do you have faith in Malik Willis? Is there a chance you could go quarterback? But who's going to be really available at number 11? Does Anthony Richardson fall down to number 11? I think if Richardson or Levis falls down, Tennessee's going to take a real hard look at drafting either one of those quarterbacks. I think if I'm Tennessee, hey, I need a lot of help in a lot of different places. I only have 6 picks in this upcoming draft. This may be a time for me to look at a trade down, maybe get some more draft assets. I think probably offensive lines, considering that Taylor Lewan is now gone. Whoever they drafted, better pull their weight. Hey, I hope they don't, but that's just me. You know, I'm a hater. I'm a hater at heart. I just want that to be known. But hey, Tennessee, I think offensive line, maybe, but I think at 11, I'm not really going to mock them for anything. Probably the next best offensive lineman available to is probably Broderick Jones, offensive tackle out of Georgia. I think you can trade down, probably get that same player or maybe another player, maybe a guard or another tackle. So I'm not going to mock anything for Tennessee. I think Tennessee is going to really kind of be looking to trade down, get more draft assets, get more pieces you can add to the puzzle. I think Derrick Henry is still top of the line running back. I'm not sure what Tannehill is going to be looking like coming off the injury. Haven't seen much of Malik Willis that really inspires me. So my mock for Tennessee is going to be trade down. It's going to be trade down. I can't call it any other way. Now at number 12, Houston is back on the clock with their other first round pick. Think wide receiver. You went and got the quarterback that you wanted at number 2 in Bryce Young. I think you get him a wide receiver. Now, who is the top wide receiver? You do have Jackson Smith Nyabi out of Ohio State. You have Zay Flowers out of Boston College. I think the knock on Zay Flowers is he's only 5'9". Do you really want another smallish guy? Now he's fast. Don't get me wrong. Very productive wide receiver, but do you draft him that high? In the draft, I don't know. I don't know. Who else is on the board for wide receiver? Let me see real quick. Where's his name? No, that's Myers at tight end. Oh yeah, Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson, wide receiver out of TCU. I probably think is the most physically gifted of the wide receiver group. Potentially looked at the first round. I'm not sure if they take him though. I'm not sure. I'm kind of like who would you take? If I'm Houston, I'm looking for I got Bryce Young. I want to give him a big target. And Quentin Johnson is probably the biggest, most talented target out there. So I'm probably going to go Quentin Johnson, number 12 to the Houston Texans. Now, mind you, my mock draft is on teams not really trading down too much or guys falling. I'm just kind of, reading the tea leaves, reading the reports, who's where, who's being looked at where, and we're kind of go from there. Now, due to the recent trade for Aaron Rodgers, if you're not aware, Aaron Rodgers has been traded to the New York Jets. They basically swapped first round picks for this year, second round pick going to Green Bay, and maybe it's a conditional second round pick for next year, which could turn into a first if he plays X amount of snaps. And I'm talking about not Brett Favre. Get guys confused. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, basically the same dude at this point. But yeah, number 13, Green Bay Packers. You got to go offense here. Give Jordan Love some more weapons. Wide receiver could be an option here if you don't take. I think tight end is probably the most safest pick because you do have some talented tight ends, and none of these wide receivers kind of blow my doors off when I watch the game tape of them. None of them kind of blow my doors off. Probably the top tight end prospect right now is Dalton Kincaid, tight end out of Utah. very, very fast, very much a vertical threat, not necessarily the blocking tight end that you may need. Not necessarily a combination of a Gronk. Plays more like a Jason Kelsey, which you can use in this today's league. Whoever so you can use in today's league. So I got them taking Dalton Kincaid at number 13. Green Bay, kind of shores up some of the offense. You really don't need receiver. Now, it would be nice if if you take one, fit them in there with that young group of guys you got last year. But I think they kind of stick with tight end, give Jordan Love another weapon, another outlet. And we know a tight end can be a rookie quarterback's favorite target, i.e., look at Dak. Look at Dak. All right, we're pushing through, y'all. We're pushing through. Number 14, New England Patriots. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's kind of hard to read the mind of Belichick. There's no telling who he may be looking at. First round pick, it could be some guy that's a guard. You never know. I do know they need help in a lot of places. You do need cornerback help. You do need tackle help. I know you need some outside linebacker help. Judon is set on one side as a pass rusher. Do you go with another pass rusher? And I know Bill Belichick's believe in his scheme, so he's not really going to be drafting the sexy name player. That's not really his thing. I do like some of the pieces that they have on offense. I think Mac Jones is due for a comeback here. I don't know what the hell they was thinking about having Matt Patricia, a defensive guy, calling offense. Like it's set up for disaster. It's been talks that this may be if they don't make the playoffs this year, this could be Belichick's last ride. Could be his last ride last season. Shame to see him go. But he may be getting ready to get forced out the door. I know it has been reported there was friction between him and Kraft, as far as like their plans for Mac Jones. And he kind of, they had a falling out over Garoppolo back in the day when he was with the Patriots. Excuse me. So number 14, I don't know. I don't hard to tell. But I think they go wide receiver. Okay. Okay. Hold on for a second. Yeah. Who's the wide receiver I got marked to them? Okay, well, I got Jackson Smith and Barbie out of Ohio State going. Wide receiver going at number 14. I think you give him another target out there for Mac Jones. Really push Mac Jones' progression. I think he's serviceable enough quarterback. I think he had a bad year. I think more or less on coaching than talent. But I got wide receiver going to New England Patriots. Wide receiver out of Ohio State. As we move forward, Green Bay, which has swap picks with the Jets. So the Jets have number 15. Where do you go? Where do you go when you have the great Aaron Rodgers? Where do you go when you have the great Aaron Rodgers sitting there at quarterback? Do you go get him some offensive weapons? Do you take the best player available? I think they're leaning more towards offensive line. But it's kind of hard to tell. It's kind of hard. Just how much influence does Aaron Rodgers have on their draft? How much does he advocate? He lobbies for a player that they go and get. Like, does he take? I don't know. If I'm the Jets, offensive line is probably the biggest need for my team. Probably the biggest need. But then again, they could go tight end. Aaron Rodgers loves throwing to the tight end. But if I'm going, I don't think they're going to take. I think they're sold on Mekhi Becton as their long-term answer. I'm not. Hasn't shown me enough, at tackle and can't stay healthy enough. I would go offensive tackle, but I don't think they reach. I think they grab a tight end. I don't think they grab a receiver. I think the best two-way tight end, which I would hope he would fall to my boys. But hey, I just got to call the mock like I call it. Notre Dame's tight end Mike Meyer is good blocking. Tight end, if you missed out on Notre Dame's games, and he's like Gronk light, very good blocker. very good in the open field. Very much a vertical threat, and it doesn't have the burners to blow teams and blow linebackers off, with the speed, but he's serviceable enough, can get open. Like I said, it's like having another offensive tackle. I think that'll help, with the protection scheme as far as keeping Rodgers upright. I do know Bryce Hall is due to come back from injury, so you do have a running game. They did bring in Lazard. I do like Garrett Wilson. Yeah, Garrett Wilson went there. Yeah, Garrett Wilson at wide receiver. So Michael Mayer is the pick for the New York Jets. All right. Okay, Washington Commanders. Late with the soundboard. Okay, Washington Commanders sitting here at number 16. They do have 8 picks coming up in this draft. I know they would like a quarterback, maybe one of those guys that trade up with Arizona. Maybe they trade up with Arizona, but I think they're gonna just kind of sit pat and see what they have in Sam Howell and kind of roll the dice with that. Where's my stuff? I got draft stuff all over the place. Yeah, they kind of sit there, and I think cornerback. is very much a need for them. I like Joey Porter, cornerback, going to them. I think he fits the mold. I think he's fits the scheme that they're trying to run. They don't really need defensive line help. It's not a quarterback I would reach there for them. So I got them taking Joey Porter. I think Joey Porter game fits in nicely with them. If Gonzalez falls to them, maybe they take Gonzalez, but in a lot of the mocks, a lot of the conversations that you've been hearing, they want more of a physical type cornerback to play in that Ron Rivera scheme. So Joey Porter Jr., cornerback, goes to Washington Commanders, and it feels weird to still calling them the Commanders. Now it's ironic that Joey Porter goes one pick before the team his dad played for, the Pittsburgh Steelers, are drafted next. They do have 7 picks in this upcoming draft. Kenny Pickett, I think, is a serviceable quarterback. I do like Najee Harris at running back. I like Watt on the defense. I think if you're not gonna, I don't know. I think this is where we make a splash pick. If I'm making a splash pick, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I really wanted to bring back the quote unquote steel curtain. I have Watt on one side. Alonzo Highsmith is not a bad option on the other. But if I'm making a statement pick, this is, the NFL draft is always one statement pick. I'm taking Georgia defender Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith, very underrated considering all the first round guys he was playing with last season. Coming off the injury, looked great in the comp. I mean, how many linebackers are running a 4-3? I think they take Nolan Smith. I think Nolan Smith fits in. There's going to be no pressure on him. I think he's going to see a lot of one-on-one coverage as a blitzing linebacker in Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is fine. Maybe pick up an offensive lineman because we kind of deep with offensive linemen in this draft. Kind of deep. It was serviceably deep. But I think they go Nolan Smith. I think Nolan Smith is the splash pick. I know a lot of mock drafts even have Nolan Smith going as high as number 10 to Philadelphia. But I think Nolan Smith drops. I think there are concerns over his injury history. I think this would be a perfect spot for him. Like I said, there's going to be no pressure. You have Watt on the opposite side, drawing the double teams that leaves you with a lot of one-on-one coverage. It looks at Alonzo Highsmith. Was able to eat last year with Watt out there. So Nolan Smith is my pick for Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, as we kind of keep going with the draft, Who's number 18? Did I skip them? No. Oh, that's right. They got their pick taken. Oh boy. Okay, hold on. I got to get my draft back in order. I got too many screens open up. Hold on. Give me a sec, y'all. Give me a sec. Okay. All right. Oh, boy. Okay. All right. Who's number 20? I'm sorry, 18. I'm skipping around. I'm thinking about 20 for whatever reason. All right, coming in at number 18 pick, you had the Detroit Lions. Once again, a luxury pick, thanks to the trades they made in the past. Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go with this? Detroit, do you double dip on defense? Do you possibly look at getting another skill position player to go along? Because Jameson Williamson has been suspended for the first 6 games of the season. So I mean, do you kind of reach and take another? I don't know. It may be a position to where we're talking about Herndon Hooker being drafted. I think this is more of a luxury. Your second first round pick, I would think, would be more of a luxury pick for Detroit. I like Hooker. I think this would be a perfect situation for him to kind of come into, to where he's not asked to be the savior. There's no expectations on him to play. Ooh, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna go on a reach here. Then I like to reach over here. I got Hooker going to Detroit Lions, number 18 pick. Like I said, there's no pressure on him to play. I think Jared Goff is firmly entrenched as the starter to this season. But why not take a chance on a guy who, had he not got hurt, was really being looked at as the number 3 quarterback coming into this draft. So if you're able to get him here at number 18, get him on the cheap, able to sit him, more power to you. Number 19, you have Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would take a quarterback, but it's no real quarterback to take. I mean, you got Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask. That's not saying a lot. Where do you go? I mean, do you go offensive line? But you do need help on the defensive line. They do have some holes. I don't know. Sorry, y'all. I just got an email about something. Oh, I can't wait to Friday. I can't wait to Friday. I can't share that with y'all just yet. Y'all gotta wait. But back to the draft preview. Who do I go here? I think if Gonzalez is still on the board, why not take a guy who was looked at as top 10? If he falls, he falls. I mean, yeah, I got Christian Gonzalez, a cornerback going from Oregon. I think he falls. Tampa Bay snaps him up, gets value on the pick. Doesn't help to have skilled cornerbacks out there. All right. We won't tell one, especially on his face. Yeah, Brady did retire, Miss Murph. Brady did retire. We won't tell them. I can't. Oh, I can't miss VS. I can't. You just gotta wait. You got to wait. Nah. Woo! I can't. You keep me sidetracked. I'm getting sidetracked. Whoever sent me that email, you got me sidetracked. All right. So we got Gonzalez going to Tampa Bay. I think he takes a drop, falls down to them. Where we at? No, he ain't dropping that far. All right, where we at? Number 20, second first round pick for Seattle. I think Seattle takes wide receiver here. Probably have to be, if I'm a betting man, probably have to be Zay Flowers. I like his skill set. He fits into what they got. It kind of like a mix there. You do have DK Metcalf out on the outside. You still have Tyler Lockett being productive. I think Zay Flowers can really blossom, playing a slot role. A very good route runner, very good speed, but more of a very good route runner. Runs clean. Now I do know also a wide receiver. We're talking about route running. I think Jordan Addison out of USC could be the pick here for Seattle. Could be, but I'm gonna go Zay Flowers, wide receiver out of Boston College. I think he slides right on in. Give Geno Smith another weapon. Like I said, when you have a second first round pick, it's more of a luxury pick. Seattle is not pressed, but I got Zay Flowers, Boston College wide receiver. Going to Seattle. A clue? You want a clue? Well, ain't but two people here. Hold on for a second. I'll give you a clue. Give me 1 second. Let me download this. I'll give you a clue. I'm not going to leave it up for too long. Hold on. Yeah, I gotta be sidetracked. I'm supposed to be corporate over here. I'm supposed to be corporate, but I'll get a, because y'all support. So I'll give y'all to stay focused. Thank you, Ms. Murph. Thank you, Ms. Murph. Stay focused, DJ Dot. Stay focused. Stay focused. Ooh, okay, I'm tempted. Okay. Number 20, 21st pick. Possibly another wide receiver. Chargers sitting here, number 21. Now I did have Zay Flowers going a pick ahead. Now I think this is the slot where Jordan Addison kind of slides in. You have a young quarterback. You got Keelan Allen on outside, Mike Williams on the outside, but these guys are not as young as they used to be. Now I think if Bijan Robinson falls this far, I think he could be a possible replacement for Austin Ekeler, who has requested a trade, who has yet to be moved, but has requested a trade. Oh, y'all keep me on task. Keep me on task because y'all know I'll get sidetracked. But I think Jordan Addison finds a home here in LA. It's time to really start putting some young pieces around that quarterback they have. Like I said, if Bijan Robinson falls this far, which is possible, not because of his talent, because of just how devalued the running back position is in the NFL. If he falls here, I think he's the pick. But if not, I got Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC, filling this position, given another weapon out there in the AFC West. Okay. Where we at? All right. 22. Oh boy. Baltimore Ravens. What do you do? Do you work under the assumption that Lamar is coming back? I mean, you only have 5 picks in this draft. So if you move up, you're talking about trading future capital to move up. I mean, I know some of the draft needs they have is possibly another wide receiver, defensive line, and ironically quarterback. Do you go under the assumption that Lamar is coming back? If you think Lamar is coming back, maybe you focus on the other side of the ball. Maybe get a wide receiver. I don't think a wide receiver is needed if OBJ is back healthy. I'm not saying he's prime time number 1, but he's serviceable in that position. Where do you go? Like I said, if you have a feeling that Lamar is just X'd out for the season, do you trade up? Do you trade up for Anthony Richardson? Do you trade up for Will Levis? I don't know, man. You don't have a lot of draft capital to do it. You only got 5 picks in this draft. Are you really mortgaging your future on a young guy? Because if you trade up for a quarterback, they're going to be expected to play. I think Baltimore has enough faith that they can probably get Lamar Jackson back into the wheelhouse, if nothing else, for him to sign that contract so he can get some money. I'm looking at possibly defensive end out of Clemson, Myles Murphy. I know Myles Murphy doesn't have the sexiest game tape if you've watched Clemson. No commingling. Thank you, Ms. VS. Y'all keep me on the straight and narrow. I'm going corporate. But I got Miles Murphy going at number 22 to the Baltimore Ravens. I think he fits in. Like I said, he's not a sexy pick, but he's an effective pick. And Baltimore is has a culture of drafting guys who fit into the culture there as far as like work ethic and stuff. I think Miles Murphy fits right on in. Like I said, it's not a sexy pick. He has potential to play possibly 3-4. But they go to 3-4. I mean 4-3 front. He can play that also. He has the size and the capability to do that. So Miles Murphy is my pick at number 22. All right. Number 23, Minnesota Vikings. If Herndon Hooker's here, could they be looking to draft? I know it's been a lot of noise pre-draft that Minnesota is looking at possible packages to get San Francisco quarterback Trey Lance away from them. It's probably going to cost them a first-round pick, considering all the stuff that San Francisco's had to give up to trade up to get Trey Lance. I don't think that trade gets done by tomorrow, but hey, there's been talk of it over the last couple of weeks. How sold is San Francisco on Brock Purdy being quarterback one? I don't know. I think Trey Lance on paper is more talented, but on paper and what's on film is two different things. And Trey Lance doesn't have any game footage. We're talking 2 years in the league. First year didn't really get no looks. Second year was expected to start, got hurt in the first start, so it's not much. I can go on there. Where do they go? Like I said, if Hooker's there, they're taking them. But I don't have Hooker going there. Man, I don't know who you would take in this position. Like, I know they want a quarterback. I think Minnesota probably trades down. They don't have many holes, don't need a receiver. You only got 5 draft picks, possibly trade down, probably get some more second and third day picks. Yeah, I'm not taking any receiver. I think you kind of set with Justin Jefferson. Now you could use a number 2, but I'm not taking him in the first round. I think you possibly get a number 2 receiver in the later rounds. That'll be serviceable next to a Justin Jefferson, because whoever you draft in the first round is not going to have the pressure of being the number 1. So I think if I'm mocking, I think Minnesota trades down. It's nothing there. Nothing there that helps them. No player there that helps them kind of push them over the edge. And no sexy pick. For me, I wouldn't take wide receiver. And now we move down to the number 24th pick. Jacksonville Jaguars have 9. I think defense has to be the pick. Has to be. I like what they have as far as the quarterback. Like what they have as far as the running back. I think the offense is serviceable enough with the weapons that they have out there. Christian Kirk out there. Ooh, I mean, probably defense. And if I'm going defense, you're playing in the AFC, so I'm saying your back 4 needs to be solid. Teams are able to pick up a lot of coverage seconds if you have a good solid back 4. And I'm looking at a cornerback out of Maryland, Deonte Banks. I think he kind of fits into the mold. He's a nice cover guy. Does gamble a lot. I watched a couple of ACC games. Does gamble a lot. But hey, what cornerback, like Trayvon Diggs comes to mind. What cornerback, doesn't gamble out there? So, I mean, I got Deonte Banks coming in to the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 24. That's my pick. Now, I know nobody but Gator Girl is going to remember my picks, and y'all just listening to me talk, but yeah, some of these picks will probably be wrong, and you know how the draft is. Some teams like to move up, move down, depending on what they have. Now, another one of my nemesis sitting here at number 25, the New York Giants do have 10 picks coming up in this draft. Did bring back Daniel Jones. I don't think Saquon has signed his tender just yet. So, do you maybe look for a Phillips out of Alabama as a running back to possibly bring it in the first round to complement? Saquon is kind of similar as far as his play style. Phillips is more of a do it all type back, not necessarily a bruiser back. Phillips could be the pick. Phillips could be the pick. I'm leaning towards Phillips now that I'm looking at my own mock draft, and I'm just thinking about it. Like Phillips could be the pick because Saquon hasn't signed yet. Now I do know, some of the draft needs they have is wide receiver, offensive line help, cornerback. I don't know. I mean, is it a receiver I want to take at 25? Do you believe Daniel Jones needs another receiver? They did bring Darren Waller in at tight end, who talent wise is receiver esque at tight end. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably maybe linebacker, but then again, had a great defense last year. This kind of fun. I'm thinking Phillips. I'm thinking running back out of Alabama. Phillips sneaks into the first round of number 25. I think the Saquon Barkley situation. He does want to come back, but they're still working on the contract. I think you bring in Phillips, similar style running back. Doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on the side. Alabama doesn't grind their running backs, a lot. So I got Phillips running back out of Alabama going there. This might be these might be the most accurate picks you make, but it's still pick the opposite. Oh, you just let me live, Gator Girl. Let me live. Let me live because I want to, kind of get through this and end off with my NBA news. And kind of watch the rest of the games while I'm at it. Let me take a short break because I know my boys are playing. So let me kind of peek in, see if it's gotten better or worse since last time I checked in. Hold on. Oh yeah, we getting smoked. Yeah, I figured as much. 87 to 106, 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Oh, let's see how we're looking. AD came to play. LeBron playing like trash. D'Angelo doing his thing. Austin Reeves got the handcuffs on. Desmond Bain going off. Jesus Christ. Probably the most consistent player on that team. 33, 9, and 5. Jesus, what a stat line for him. We'll be back at the crib. Let me check on the other game. I know the Knicks was up. Did they close it out? Yep, Knicks closed it out 106.95. I'll be doing a short. Shortly after this live is corporate doesn't pay overtime either. Hey, yeah, we losing. Mickey, yeah, my team. Let me kind of get through this, man, so I can end off with my NBA news, and I'll be back. If I'm not back tomorrow, I'll definitely be back Friday. I'll probably do the show a little bit earlier and do like a more of a first round recap because the draft will still be going on through this weekend. Probably do a first round recap and kind of do a recap over some of the games. But let me kind of stay focused. Where was that? 20, going to 26. My boys, America's team. I would love Bijan Robinson to fall here. I would love that. But I doubt he lasts this long. I would love to bring him in. I would love one of the tight ends to be there. And I let me apologize for my previous picks. It's not Phillips, it's Gibbs. I'm thinking about somebody else. Okay. Where do we go? Do we take another defensive player? No, on the Cowboys, we're probably going to do a little reaching. I do think Florida's Florida guard Osiris Torrance is probably the pick here. I do think we need to get a little bit more youth on the offensive line. I would love for one of the top tackles to kind of fall down to this position, and because Tyron Smith can't stay healthy to save his life. But I think we're in position. Like I would love Bijan Robinson to fall here. I would love him to fall here. But hey, I think I wouldn't take another defensive line. Now, if we're going to go tight end, if we're going to reach, I think the most physically gifted tight end is Darnell Washington. He's sitting out there. Dalton Schultz is gone. It's kind of a mixed bag on the tight ends. Do we go offense? Do we go, we go weapon or do we go interior? I would like to go interior. Give our team more protection, open up more lanes, get back, doing what we, have history of doing, is building very strong offensive lines. So my pick is Florida's offensive guard, O'Cyrus Torrence, to the Dallas Cowboys. But I could also see them taking tight end, Washington, if he's still there. You have the consistency. America's team, how dare you? All right, but we're kind of getting to the back end here of the first round. Like I said, I do want to end off with some NBA news before I get up out of here. Where we at? 27. Yeah, we're wrapping it up. Buffalo Bills don't need too much. I know some of the draft needs that have been identified. Wide receiver, I want to take one. Linebacker, maybe. Tremaine Edmonds went to Chicago Bears in free agency. Is there a linebacker here that you take, though? I do know they need maybe safety help. Justin Poirier's not getting younger. But, I mean, Buffalo is probably in a win now mode. I mean, they only have 6 picks in a win now mode. I don't see too many holes. Maybe a defensive lineman, considering the injury history of Von Miller. But is there a guy you take in the first round? I mean, we're talking about back end of the first round. I think Buffalo, if they're smart, I'm looking at this as a trade down. I think a team that wants to move up to the back end of the first round, take a player. I think this is a trade down for Buffalo. I don't see a guy here that moves the needle for them one way or the other. So trade down for the Buffalo Bills. Okay, let me get back over here. All right. But like I said, trade down. Once again, another team that doesn't have many holes, but can take a luxury pick. You have the Cincinnati Bengals coming here in number 28. I do know cornerback is an issue for them. Not that big of an issue. Do you possibly look at a running back to team up with Mixon? Where do you go here? I think, and here's a guy that that was at the beginning of the season was looked at as probably the best cornerback in the draft. I think they go cornerback here. I don't think you need any more offensive weapons unless you're taking an offensive lineman. I don't see an offensive lineman here. That blows me away. Now it's talk of Pittsburgh's I don't know how to say his name, Kalaji Kancey, who has been billed physically, not necessarily saying his production, but it's physically like Aaron Donald, as far as like the speed strength package that he has. It's possibly being here at the defensive tackle position, which will make their defense, which was very underrated last year, one of the best defenses in the league, was very underrated, make them even more dangerous. But I think they go cornerback out of Georgia, Kelee Ringo. I think his fall stopped. Like I said, coming into the season, he was looked at as the clear quarterback one. Just the production wasn't there. He does have a lot of upside. But I don't know how he fell throughout the course of the year. But I think he's a very good cornerback. Was on a very good defense. So Kelee Ringo, cornerback out of Georgia, goes to Cincinnati, number 28. All right, we're almost done, y'all. We almost done. Let me close this out. We almost done. Okay, number 29 is New Orleans Saints. Where do you go here? Jesus Christ. I mean, do you reach? Do you trade up? I mean, you got 8 picks. You're in a division where it is for the taking. I think they go defensive line. Shore up that defensive line. I think they're kind of satisfied by what they have there. So if I'm New Orleans, I would probably trade down. But hey, if they stick at the pick, I'm looking at Brian Brees, defensive tackle. It's possibly being the pick. Probably gets helps with the pass rush a little bit. More of a run style defender on the inside, but does have pass rush potential. So yeah, Brian Brees, defensive tackle, goes to New Orleans Saints. All right, we're down to okay. Who we're down to? Okay, drama, get it together. Get it together. You're almost done. Number 30, the enemy. Philadelphia Eagles. Yay. Another first round pick. Dallas sucks and oh, I'm sorry for you Phillies fans. They got to see that flashback up on the screen there of that man, that bad man that did you in. Once again, Philadelphia sitting in a catbird seat. Doesn't have many holes. Probably takes a defensive lineman to kind of show up. Them guys ain't getting much younger. But who do you trade? Maybe I think this is a trade down pick for Philadelphia. Kind of stockpile for the future because you're going to need it. You're getting ready to pay Jalen Hurts, which is going to take up a lot of the cap. Devontae Smith got to get paid. It's all the guys that got to get paid. So I think this is a trade down position. Trade down possibly for some future picks. Like I said, you're going to need it. This is, like I said, more of a luxury pick. But if they're going to stick here. I think Michigan's defensive tackle Mazi Smith is probably the pick. Kind of fits the mold. You put his wide body next to last year's first round pick Jordan Davis. Fletcher Cox still in the rotation. I think you got something there. I think if nothing else, your run defense should look good with them two big monsters up there. So if Philadelphia doesn't trade down, I have them taking Michigan's defensive tackle, Mazi Smith. And to close out the first round, you had the Kansas City Chiefs. We know they don't need quarterback. Wide receiver is probably the biggest need, but I don't think they're going to be taking a wide receiver. But if they do, I think the best wide receiver, and a lot of people are not talking about him, considering that his season kind of went down when his quarterback went down. The Tennessee wide receiver Jalen Hyatt. I think Jalen Hyatt fits in well. It'd be no pressure on him because especially how Kansas City offense has been. We know who the primary receiver is Kelsey. Everybody else kind of fits in. I think Kadarius Toney is set to have a bigger year after being traded to them in the middle of the season. So if Kansas City doesn't trade down and they take wide receiver, I think wide receiver out of Tennessee, Jalen Hyatt is wide receiver 1. All right, thank you. That concludes my first round mock draft. Like I said, if I'm not back tomorrow, I'll definitely be back Friday to kind of recap round 1. Was my picks right? Were my picks wrong? Who reached, who didn't reach, who had a good draft, kind of give my own little draft grades. But like I said, before I end off the show, I did want to get into some NBA news. Where did I put that at? Lakers are making a push, only down 13. All right. So Knicks move on. Man, I gotta get out here because the 10 o'clock game, Warrior Kings. I gotta catch that. For those who are not aware, the NBA and the NBA Players Association announced Wednesday night that they have ratified the new collective bargaining agreement. The new deal goes into effect July 1st. And some of the things I wanted to point out before I wrap up the show is really designed to curb spending for teams. They kind of level out the playing field and increase penalties for teams that have been abusing the luxury tax. NBA on it, hey, you're free to go over the luxury tax. It is penalties, but what they've done to kind of curb that kind of spending is once you reach they're still able to spend over the luxury tax, but once they reach a second level of the luxury tax, they will be hampered. With some of the limitations that have been put in place, they can't sign any free agents for more than a minimum contract. So getting guys to come in and paying them a little bit above that, you can't do once you reach that threshold, which I think levels out the playing field a little bit more. They're unable to use cash and trades. Anybody that kind of keeps up with NBA trades, a lot of times you see guys get moved for second round pick and some money, you know. But once, you know, with the new collective bargaining agreement, it can't be used in cash and trades, and they'll be unable to sign any players that's on the buyout market. So the Golden States, the Clippers, those teams that typically spend over the luxury tax, there's gonna be restrictions put in place. I think this kind of levels out the playing field some, um, just some, just some. Um, what else is kind of in here? They did, you know, they kind of get the NBA trade season kind of picked up also. Um, what it do, you know, they loosen up some of the trade restrictions to make deals more possible, including the mid-level exception now being allowed to use as a trade exception. So instead of teams holding on to it to the offseason, they can be used in a trade package. I think that's to you know, get more player movement during that time period. But I like the part about penalizing teams for abusing the luxury tax. One thing I love about football is a hard cap. It's no beating the cap. Now you can do creative stuff with bonuses. You can do creative stuff with restructuring contracts, but the cap is the cap, and everybody has to work with that cap. And in the NFL, like, you're even penalized if you don't. You don't just sit on money. You got to use a certain amount of that cap because you got to put a competitive product out there on the field. Can put it, you know, and that's part of the parity of the NFL. You can have your preseason picks, but you never know how a season turns out. NBA, with the exception of probably this season, you kind of knew who the top teams were going into the year. So I like the new and it gives veterans more money, which I think is important. Hey, but I like it. But let me get up on out of here. It has been fun. We like I said, if I'm not back tomorrow, I'll be back definitely Friday with an earlier show, possibly doing it around 8 o'clock. If I'm back tomorrow, same time, and I'll kind of recap first, not first round, because first round's tomorrow. Duh. I'll recap, you know, the NBA action from tonight. Like I said, I got to get working on my little shorts. Hopefully the Lakers come back and they put a smile on my face. But if not, oh well. Where we at? Okay, yeah. So thank you for coming out. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. It has been fun. I'll see you around, and I'm out.